Good morning, everyone. My name is Carrie Ramsey, and welcome to another weekend workshop. It's so great to have you here. Today, of course, is a special type of workshop. It's our Accessibility Cafe for Women Entrepreneurs. And I think we've had about 3 or 4 of these, at least 3. I think this is the 4th one we've had in the last year or so. And it's always so exciting to hear stories from women, what they're doing, how they're overcoming barriers. And I don't know about you, but every single time I leave a little bit more motivated and inspired. So I think that that is what you're in for today as well. As I mentioned a moment ago, if you want to click on the live transcript button, you can enable the captioning. Thank you to Lori, who is captioning today's session. Why don't you take a moment to let us know in the Zoom chat where you're connecting from today, because I know folks are from different regions. And while we're doing that, Brooke is going to go ahead and provide a land acknowledgement for us today.
Hi, it's Brooke speaking. I'm an Indigenous Anishinaabe mixed settler woman with white skin, green eyes, and this month I have brown hair. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I do not have any visible disabilities. I'm the owner of CCS and I live, work, and play in Auditory, Kingston. Welcome everyone, Ani. Ani is an Anishinaabe greeting, which is often used as a way of saying hello. The actual meaning is, I see your light. I'd like to start with gratitude and acknowledgement to the territory with which we stand, this great Turtle Island, the land of many First Nations and Métis in Ontario, Canada, and beyond. My current home and the home of CCS, also known as Closed Caption Services, is in Kingston, Ontario. The First Peoples of Kingston referred to this area as Cataraqui. The history is complex and demonstrates the shifting of multiple Indigenous groups over time, mainly consisting of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Huron-Wendat peoples. The present Cataraqui Kingston Indigenous communities represent the area's Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee roots. There are numerous other Indigenous people from other nations, as well as Métis and Inuit living in the area. In giving thanks, my Indigenous relatives and community ask for your support going forward in educating yourselves on our shared history and work to ensure treaties are honored so that we can figure out a way to correct the wrongs of the past. To learn more about truth and reconciliation, I encourage you to check out content created by the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation. And if you are looking for a meaningful way to participate in reconciliation, I encourage you to explore the many Indigenous-led businesses, organizations, content creators, and artists. There are so many amazing examples from across Turtle Island who are using traditional values, storytelling, medicines to create valuable services, content, products, art, jewelry, and more. Find them, support them, acknowledge them. That is the end of my message.
Thank you so much, Brooke. Well done. I think we have a reaction button. We definitely need to give her some applause. That was wonderful. And I so appreciate you taking the time to provide that message for us. So the format of today's session is that we are going to have 3 speakers who are going to speak for about 10 minutes or so with some questions as well that we hopefully will be able to add in. And we're going to start with Holly Marie today, who is from Strength Through Speaking. Holly Marie doesn't have slides, which is great. We're going to be in this little virtual room right now. And so we'll be able to see each other's faces. Once we go to Erin Heitema in a moment, she is going to have some slides, so it'll just shift it for us a little bit, and then Brooke will finish as well from CCS. So very excited for the roster of speakers we have to share with us today. So I think that, yes, today's, of course, is being, this session is being recorded, so it will be on our YouTube channel later with closed captioning from CCS, which we always appreciate. But for today, we are going to kick it over to Holly Marie, who is going to share a little bit behind her business, which is Strength Through Speaking. So let me do an introduction. So Holly Marie began her public speaking career at the age of 9 on the recommendation of her speech therapist. She pushed past her stutter to compete in contests by the Royal Canadian Legion, the Optimist Club, and the Royal Canadian Air Cadet League. As an adult, she competed in Toastmasters competitions and held multiple leadership positions in the organization. In 2016, she attained the status of Distinguished Toastmaster, joining the ranks of 2% of all Toastmasters worldwide to hold the designation. Nowadays, she uses her extraordinary skills and experience to coach others in speaking for presentations and competing for business funding. Her work makes the difference between a lackluster pitch and a strong, confident presentation that wows potential clients and investors. So Holly Marie, I am handing you the virtual microphone. The stage is yours.
Thank you. I'll take the virtual microphone from you. Thank you so much. Some wonderful faces today, and we get to speak about my favorite topic, speaking on speaking. I'm very meta. And to add another layer is that I am specifically a coach for entrepreneurs and experts. So that's literally everyone in our little virtual room, and probably many that we will see on YouTube later. If you're joining us from YouTube, thank you for taking the time to learn about myself and other women who run businesses and happen to have a disability. Now, as Carrie said, I started young in public speaking, and it quite shocked my family because I had a debilitating stutter, not just at 9 years old, but younger, and until the age of 14. So I had 5 years in competition where I would go on stage still with that stutter, still with that attitude, and going forward. The thing that showed that I wasn't just a one-trick pony was that I actually won in different organizations. And to tell you the truth, I lost for the first 7 years, but it really wasn't losing. I was learning, and I still learn today. Most speaking coaches that you come across, they actually come from a performing background or a business background. I'm quite different, and I think a little more special, and I tend to be a secret weapon because I come from a STEM background. My first career was in aviation, in aerospace manufacturing. I specifically have a background in composites technology, and I also come from a competitive background. Most of the time when you're speaking, whether it's on social media or in pitches, because nowadays everything has to have a pitch competition, right? It's the Dragon's Den effect. I know how to compete, and that just like an athlete getting ready, I know all about it. You're training, you're watching the tapes, you're knowing your rules. Whenever you're ready to either present at a conference, present online, or that ever important pitch, people come to me, and it makes the difference. I've had clients that they win the competitions. I've had others that they didn't win, but I still made all the difference because they ended up with people approaching them afterwards. Nowadays, I'm actually expanding my services since I've learned to be in the online front. With organizations, I do webinars. I focus on virtual speaking 101, pitch 101, and then I can usually tool something very special for groups. Usually I work some intimate fireside chats. We talk about anxiety, and it really breaks it down. I have a different way of teaching. I'm very much about participation, but I never force it. So organizations like Rise down in Toronto that have national organizations training, they really like having me. Other ones, the Causeway Center in Ottawa, even out in Vancouver, they're even starting to know me. So I may not be internationally known, but I know how to rock a microphone. And I've learned to even do that online. So I am an adaptable woman, and it comes back to, I live with a disability. So what you didn't know from the intro, or even see me on the street, is I actually have a pretty serious hearing disorder. So someone like me should not be doing well in life, especially since we didn't know very much about my hearing and my understanding. See, I have something called central auditory processing disorder. It means I pass all the hearing tests, but what I hear is noise. Sometimes it's very beautiful noise. There's some great voices out there, music, the tinkling of children's laughter, waterfalls, everything. But then there's some very loud, discordant noises. I also hear things like electricity going, the hum of crowds, My brain doesn't know the difference. It thinks all noise is important, so it's made it very difficult. And now as an adult, we now understand why I had such a debilitating stutter. So think about anyone who's been a parent, you're thinking about those milestones that the kids reach. And I was a very smart child, but I happened to have a stutter. So the fact that I was still very smart and very with it and very sociable, they didn't expand too much beyond the go visit a speech therapist, do the little exercise with the cards. They didn't go deeper into the cause. Well, it happens to be that my world is noise, and how I interpret it is very different. So I don't only just speak in front of crowds, I don't have just a powerful voice, but I speak with my whole body. If you've ever been lucky enough to see me in competition, you know that I'm 5'2", but when I get on a stage or even sometimes over Zoom, it seems like I'm 10 feet tall, and that I speak with the entirety of my body. I speak with my soul. I think a lot. I'm actually an introvert. When I go to conferences, when I do training, when I even go to work, I have strategies because I love people, but they drain my battery. Introverts aren't shy. Shyness is completely different from introversion and extroversion. Because of this and my great empathy, this makes me for a fantastic coach. And the fact that I love to learn, and that's what I got from aviation in my life and the numerous amounts of books that I've read, is that every client I meet, I dig deep into their industry, and that it helps having that STEM background. So even if I don't have a background in your specific industry, I am just excited to know about you, excited to know about your industry, excited to where you're going and how I can provide a strong voice in that one moment in time that you need it. If you're willing to be hiring an accountant to do your work, delegate to employees, you should be thinking about what our American neighbors do, which is take speech training. And that it's very common down in the US. And yes, we are influenced by our southern neighbors. But in Canada, we unfortunately have this attitude that we shouldn't be boastful. And the thing is, we're not being boastful if it's true. If you are great at what you do, you need to accept that you are great, that you are learning, that you are providing value. And this is what I do with a lot of my clients. They don't think of themselves as experts in a field until I point out, yes, you are. And I'm very glad to be that catalyst for so many people. When I find out that someone, they went to their conference and they were on that stage or they were on that panel and it made all the difference, I'm on a high for weeks. And I think about when I'm in the trenches doing my writing and my articles, doing my research, when I'm doing my evaluations, it reminds me of why I do this. This is my way of making the world a better place. And that it's just helping people to speak up. The loudest person in the room isn't the best speaker. Introverts, in my opinion, make the best speakers, and that because they've been holding on for so long and they've thought about of what they do. They have great empathy for the audience and they just need that little boost and the training and the help. And then what they've been holding inside bursts forward in this beautiful supernova of knowledge and communication. So if anyone out there has been afraid to speak or appear on camera, you really should be reaching out to me either on LinkedIn or through my website or looking at my services. And I believe Carrie will be providing that link in the chat. And also you can always search me through Strength Through Speaking. And I specifically chose that name because there is strength through speaking. Thank you so much, Carrie, and everyone for joining. I am very open to questions, whether it's now, later, or in a few weeks, few years. I'm always going to be doing this.
Oh,
Thank
Holly
you.
Marie, you've got some fans today. I was just thinking, I would love to hear Holly Marie on a TEDx stage very soon. So I'm not sure if you've already done that, but let's somehow make that happen. I know Queens does that.
I applied to Ottawa.
Yes, it's
so
competitive.
we'll see if in the spring
Yes, wonderful.
I have a very unique message.
Good for you. Yeah. And that's what they want to hear, of course, is these personal messages, which are so inspiring. So let me throw it out to the group. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question? We do have a couple of minutes. You're getting lots of thank yous in the Zoom, and I did put a link to Holly Marie's website.
I do love the chat, because when I'm in webinars and workshops, I tell my students at the beginning, I explain about my hearing disorder, and that for questions, I prefer them in the chat so that I can fully answer them. We can always talk, but for myself, and especially for new people, because I haven't acclimatized to your communication style, I do prefer the chat.
Okay. So if somebody has one, you can certainly post that in the chat, whether it's now, and I'm sure Holly Marie can even answer it as we're going throughout this experience today. You mentioned adaptability, Holly Marie, which I think has, if there's anything we've learned from the last couple of years, it's that we need to be adaptable. And you, I think, have that strength that you already had that. And I think so many women who have been living with a disability, maybe they're like, just, I think it wasn't easy for anyone, but maybe that added skill, you didn't have to develop as much as some of the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that skill is powerful. And
I don't accept my limits as a prison.
No,
they're just something I need to work around.
I love it. So there is a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. I think it would have helped me immensely knowing about CIPT earlier. My first year in college, I got to hide in a group of 90. I was in flight training before I went into aircraft maintenance. And I'd also, when in high school, I wasn't sure which one I would have went into. If I had known that's why I had trouble with radios, I would have immediately went into aircraft maintenance and would have saved all my student loans. I also would have spoke up more about what I needed. I'm already a powerful voice and a powerful advocate for myself and for those I care about. But if I had the knowledge about what exactly CIPD was, I would have pushed for more accommodations and would have made it stronger, because also learning styles are different. And I think it would have helped out my colleagues in my trades class instead of hiding it, because when you first learn about something that affects your life, you're a little shy about sharing it with the group. College is already a very large transition time for many people. And again, as outspoken as I am, I kept it very quiet. And I think that would have made the difference in my career. And I would have kind of exploded a little more into the aviation scene. I didn't leave the aviation scene because of this. I actually left this because I had physical health issues that no longer exist, but they did prevent me from living a full life. And I had to go and deal with that. And again, it goes back, my ability to speak up for myself, one, got me jobs as a woman in aviation, a female name on that resume, isn't considered an asset, but also it helped me advocate for myself in the medical world, because we still have a long way to go in Canadian healthcare. Thank you so much for that question.
A great question. And just to keep with your aviation theme, Holly Marie, sky's the limit. We can see that for you, and so excited to see what comes next. If there are any more questions, you can type them into the Zoom. We're going to switch over now to Erin Heidma, who is going to present to us about a completely different type of business. I love the diversity here today. So Erin's going to share her slides. we'll just get set up for that.
And thank you, Holly Marie.
All right, so over to Erin.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you, Holly Marie. That was just incredibly inspirational. I think it's one of those great examples where someone starts out as an underdog and you learn to really advocate for yourself and then end up soaring well above the crowd. So congratulations for being so inspiring. So hello, everyone. My name is Erin Heitema, and I'm in my first year of my master's at Queen's Engineering and in biomedical engineering. And I'm also the CEO of Alucia Lingerie. So I also have ADD, which I will get into after I introduce you to my business. But Alucia was founded in 2019 in the QuickSee program at Queen's after we realized how many problems there are with bras and how many women are unhappy with their bra. Oops, sorry. Here we are. So in particular, bra design is extremely exclusive. There are over 16 million women in North America that can't put on a traditional bra independently or experience significant pain while doing so. These are women just like my sister Sarah, pictured here on the left, who have an upper body mobility restriction such as arthritis, and as a result can't put on a normal attractive bra that they feel confident in. This is a huge quality of life crisis for millions of women around the world. So the stem of the problem is that current bra design is the same now as it was in the 1900s. The hook and eye clasp is extremely inaccessible, requires a lot of fine motor movements in the fingers and a lot of grip strength. And this was invented literally in June 1900, has not been innovated on significantly since. So as I mentioned, this is not accessible for users with unique physical abilities, such as arthritis, or even someone with a pulled shoulder after going to the gym. So accessible bras that are currently available are very geriatric. They have a medical appearance and they do not inspire confidence in the women who are wearing them. As well, in a survey that we conducted with over 400 responses, we determined that over 92% of the respondents were frustrated with their current bra. So there is a huge issue at hand here that we are trying to address. Okay, so essentially, through lots of iteration and chatting with physiotherapists, occupational therapists, and women with mobility restrictions, we have iterated a new bra clasp, and this is something that we are currently in the process of patenting. This new clasp is easy to use, it's attractive, comfortable, and secure. And we've determined that this effectively includes women with mobility restrictions in bra design, and it's more convenient for all users as well. So to summarize, the Alucia bra is founded in universal design principles. This is something that we want all women to wear regardless of whether they are disabled or just a regular person with regular functioning abilities. So we have the universally designed clasp. We also have instead of an underwire, an elastic support to emphasize comfort. And we aim to have diverse modeling and size options as we continue to expand our brand. So there's a number of extra things that Alucia is also doing. We're providing a mental health check-in on our website and a free virtual fitting session and online guide. We're also having the option to order in by phone, which we think will especially benefit elderly individuals who aren't particularly internet savvy. And we will be also including a charity for women with disabilities who can't afford the bra. Oh, sorry, 2 seconds. Okay, so for Alucia, it's about much more than a bra. It's about empowerment, inclusion in design, and valuing the people more than the product. That is fundamentally what Alucia hopes to do. And you can help us get there by connecting with us and sharing your similar stories with us. I think that there are a lot of inspiring women in this Zoom call and probably watching the YouTube video as well. And I'd love to hear from all of you. So I'll just stop here for a second if you want to take a screenshot.
And Erin, because if you could put that, for some reason, Queen's, my website, maybe because it's a lingerie website, won't let me put that into the chat. If you could copy it and it's, for whatever reason, it won't let me. So I'll let you do that in the chat as well. And I completely neglected to read your introduction, by the way. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. It was a short one. It's okay.
Done a beautiful job setting it up. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. So essentially, I'm just going to transition right into the next part of my chat here. So as I mentioned earlier, I do have ADD, which affects my ability to think in a linear and typical way. It also affects my ability to communicate my thoughts effectively, and it affects the way that I learn new concepts and information. Sorry. Okay, so it also makes it very difficult to have success in life if I went about it the same way as a neurotypical person. So for a typical person, the barriers to their dreams may look like this. And for a person with a disability, it can look a lot more like this. Of course, disabilities come in all shapes and sizes. And today I'm just going to paint a picture of how I cope with my experience with disability, but there are many different experiences out there. So I believe that the key to overcoming these barriers is to be a rock climber. So I've been really into rock climbing lately, actually, and I was really surprised by how much of it is about strategy. So when you first start rock climbing, it's a trial and error process. And this is the same as when you're first creating your strategies for reaching your dreams as someone with a disability. So a huge step for me was realizing that because I think differently than other people, the entire framework for how other people can learn and be successful does not work for me. And the only person that can design effective methods for me to succeed is me. So in rock climbing, you try out new challenges and you start climbing the wall. And sometimes you fall and you have to start climbing the wall again in a different way. But as you have small successes and climb new routes, you begin to see the same problems repeated in different situations. And you find that you already know how to climb this wall effectively based on the strategies you've accumulated and what worked for you previously. So personally, I do not learn by reading a textbook or taking notes. The words are out of my mind faster than they come in. But I find that a way that I'm able to memorize a lot of information very quickly is by making comics of the material on my whiteboard. So I make them as absurd as possible. And often I remember them years later. And this is just an example that I learned in my own trial and error process. But over the summer of 2020, I set the goal of writing my MCAT that fall. And this huge goal gave me plenty of challenges to try out different learning and coping techniques for. And let me tell you, coming from an engineering background and having to quickly learn things like organic chemistry, I had a lot of these rock walls to climb. But my eye was on my dreams, and I didn't care how many times I fell because I was focused on, and this is key, how I was going to get to my dreams, not if. And I scored in the 87th percentile on the MCAT, so fairly well. And I've been able to apply the same techniques that I learned to other areas of my life, like managing a business. And this is how I've been able to successfully cope with my ADHD. So to summarize these tips, I would say to anyone who has extra barriers to overcome or finds that the current framework for success doesn't work for them, be your own best friend. Find out what works for you and be patient enough to develop long-term strategies. And of course, one of the most important things is to have a dream that you are truly passionate about and that you would do anything to achieve. And for me, this is my business, Alucia. Now, although coping mechanisms are imperative, they use a lot of energy. So when someone with ADD is overwhelmed, particularly by stress in their personal life, they may lose their coping mechanisms temporarily. And this can show up as arriving late to meetings or not having a deliverable done on time. So if you're working with someone with ADD, the best thing that you can do is be understanding and supportive. People with ADD are resilient and they often bounce back very quickly, but a little empathy goes a long way towards fostering a diverse and powerful team. And ADD isn't just a disability, it can also be a superpower. I believe that it's a source of creativity and a unique perspective that is often extremely valuable, especially when the individuals are supported and encouraged to blossom in their own way. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Wow, that was so incredible, Erin. And I know that the product that you are producing and the vision is one size doesn't fit all. I mean, but that applies to your entire outlook that you just told us about, that, we have such a diversity of individuals that sometimes it's like, here's what success looks like, walk this way. And what we hearing today is that one size of success does not fit all, one path does not fit all. And so I think that that is a powerful message. As well, we're all very intrigued as women. I know there's a couple of guys on the call as well, but quite intrigued by this incredible business that you're building. So are there any questions that someone would like to put in the chat or come off of mute? We do have a couple of minutes. So here's a question from Penny about your 92% frustration. Yeah, who was in the audience? That was a really big sample size as well.
Okay, yeah, so it was mostly people that we had reached out to through Facebook, so family and friends, people with physical disabilities and just able-bodied people as well. It was really a large mix. We had a large range of ages. I would say most of them were probably in their 20s, but we did have probably about 30 to 40% that were older in age as that as well. And there was actually one man identifying person who completed the survey as well. So it is not just women, it is just women or people who wear bras, I guess.
Yes, excellent point. Great question. Any other questions that you'd like to ask about before we go on? I'm curious to know what's the next step. I know that you're in the process of patenting the clasp, which of course is that, but what's next for you? And is there any way we can help support you in that journey?
Yes, thank you for asking. So as soon as we patent this clasp, which is hopefully going to happen in the next few weeks, we will be moving into a Kickstarter campaign, which we will be really relying on the support of our community at that point. You don't have to purchase a bra. You can even be a man. You just, if you are able to support us at all or connect us to people in your own social circles, that would be greatly beneficial to us. But yes, for now, just connecting on our socials and waiting for that point to happen would be incredible.
Excellent. And I'm going to actually put a link right now into the chat of our We Can community of women entrepreneurs, which if you have a Kickstarter, we actually had someone post one just yesterday, I think it was, or this morning. So that type of, supportive community, you can certainly find within that Facebook group. And you can, of course, I know you have your own networks. LinkedIn, of course, always is great as well. And I'm sure there's many who are just waiting for this because obviously it's something you've been working on for a while. And so very excited to share this with the world once it is ready.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Any final questions before we head on? Yes, you're getting lots of love in the Zoom chat. All right, fantastic. Have you listened to Translating ADHD podcast? So I guess there's a podcast on that.
No, I have not, Penny, but I will absolutely look into that because I'm always looking for more resources and more learning. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and as we do, we realize the more we realize we're not alone, the more powerful I really do believe we feel. And building that community and pulling community around whatever the efforts are, whether it's Holly Marie with her speaking, whether it's you with this, a fashion, accessible fashion line. I mean, I think that that's incredibly empowering for the entire community of women that you're going to be reaching. So fantastic.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
So you did
Thanks,
a wonderful
everyone.
job of introducing yourself, Erin. Thank you, because I did have your bio to read, but I will not neglect doing the next one. So we are going to transition to Brooke now. And so I'm just going to pause the recording for just a moment so she can set up her slides. All right, so Brooke Wabadich, who you're going to hear from now, is an Indigenous mixed settler entrepreneur with a vision to build better accessibility in media. She is the president and owner of Closed Caption Services in Kingston. CCS is a vibrant business that provides accessibility to many of the major broadcasters in Canada, municipalities, educational institutions, content producers, and filmmakers, by providing fast, reliable service in closed captioning and audio description. Most recently, CCS has been providing live captions to organizations producing webinars, workshops, meetings via online platforms like Zoom in multiple languages, including English, French, and Spanish. In addition to running her business, Brooke is also a proud mom of 2 teenagers, and she's also a musician who has performed with multiple groups in the area playing the saxophone. So that's a fun fact. So Brooke, would love to have you introduce this concept and the passion behind it.
Thanks, Carrie. Hi, it's Brooke speaking. I'm honored to be here today to share with you the business that I dedicate most of my time to, aside from being a mother of 2 teenagers, a wife, and a musician. I will be integrating some elements of live description to my presentation for those who might have vision loss. You may have noticed that I described myself when I first appeared on screen during the Acknowledgement, and that I just identified myself when I began speaking. This is to increase accessibility in this type of event. So with this first slide, we have white text on red screen with the title, Making Media Accessible One Line at a Time, the trusted source for captioning and descriptive video. CCS began in the 1990s by my father, Larry Gavin, as a live broadcast captioning company. And over the last few decades, we've had most of the major broadcasters in Canada as clients. Since my father's passing, and in my time as president, we have expanded our service offerings to include a wide variety of digital accessibility services in multiple languages. We have developed strategic partnerships with other like-minded companies who provide complementary services such as live interpretation, as well as translation and American Sign Language interpretation, which helps to increase our capabilities. For example, CCS has developed Describe Video and has recently completed work on the series Unsettled by Red Cloud Studios and airing on APTN and TVO. It contains Ojibwe speaking characters and language where we integrated human voice actors and with synthetic voices. We have also created our own series, which I'm really looking forward to sharing with you a little bit at the end of the presentation. So this next slide has black text on white screen, and there's a few graphics on there, one with an ear and one with a caption box. The title, Vision to Build Better Accessibility in Media. And our mission is to make media accessible one line at a time, from broadcast television to online. CCS is Canada's front runner in full spectrum media accessibility, providing closed captioning, described video, and more. CCS provides high quality accessibility services for live and/or pre-recorded content with closed captioning, live communication access in real time, also known as CART, as well as subtitling and described audio, video services, and transcription. We now provide English, French, and Spanish CART captioning with the ability to provide the same 3 languages in post-production or offline captions. With the help of partner companies and recently added professional resources, CCS can provide services and/or connect clients with partners for those English, French, Spanish, ASL, and interpretation. This next slide is a red screen with text and a picture of a man looking down at his phone. Where there are people walking on a street, there's a caption box, but we can't tell what the captions say. And the text on screen is how we help. We help by increasing the audience of our clients. Our services provide high quality access to content for up to 10% of the community who may be missing the message due to being deaf, deafened, hard of hearing, blind, partially sighted, low vision, as well as second language learners or the neurodiverse. This white screen has a variety of graphics like a judge's gavel, a checkbox, a caution sign, question marks, and gears. A white man in the center with his back to us looking up at the text on screen which says compliance in big black letters. CCS also helps businesses, organizations, government agencies, and content producers with compliance. Did you know that according to the American Ontario Disabilities Act, or AODA, that depending on the size of your company, certain websites are required to be fully accessible? This means all videos with a transcript, including described actions, transcribed podcasts, good contrast on text versus background, descriptive tags on images, and so on. This slide is black with text and the title, Who Benefits? At CCS, we strive to go far beyond compliance and aim for the highest quality possible to better serve those who rely on our services. So who benefits? 10% of the population is either deaf and or hard of hearing. According to the CNIB, 1.5 million Canadians identify as having mild to severe sight loss. 7.7 million, or 22% of the Canadian population, reported a mother tongue other than English or French. 30 to 40% of the population are thought to be neurodiverse, for example, ADHD, dyslexia, or the autism spectrum. We help by providing access to the underserved communities. So black text on white screen, there's a video link, and the title is what we're working on. Develop new productions, process and services, build workforce, and identify and build tech tools to build digital accessibility. Our goal is to leverage CCS's extensive history and experience in the broadcast industry to develop new productions, processes, and services for live, pre-recorded, and post-production communication access. Our future plans are to create more engaging, accessible content that will educate on the importance of accessibility, as well as the development of a training division to help build the workforce of skilled accessibility professionals and or organizations who wish to take on those skills in-house. We are excited to have added several BIPOC subcontractors to our roster, including several voice actors who identify as blind or partially sighted, neurodiverse team members, and those who are disability identified. Many of these team members worked on our original series, which I'd like to provide a sneak peek momentarily. I would love to share the highlight version of our video series. So the purpose of these are, CCS is attempting to normalize the idea of accessible content by enabling content creators to make their content accessible to underserved communities. This leads to broader social interaction through text, voice, video, helping to create broader social engagement. We thought it would be helpful to put out content that would showcase some incredible community members who rely on digital accessibility services like closed captions and described video. And one of them is actually here today, which is Leah Riddell from Signable Vision. So we launched an accessibility campaign in November, consisting of 5 videos. We've also released described video versions. So our 5 videos plus the DV have been launched, and we are now in the process of launching our ASL versions in the next couple of weeks. I will conclude my presentation today by sharing our accessible DV, described video version, which has described video embedded. We also further enhanced it by creating an extended version to allow for more visual description to take place before the video starts. So with described video, we have the difficult task of trying to fit in visual descriptions between dialogue. So an extended version allows us to set up some of the visuals beforehand. So as well, all of the videos, all of the versions are professionally captioned, of course. So I'm going to play this video for you now.
This screen and introduction were added to the original video for description users. The black screen features the CCS logo. This promo features 5 people who use accessibility services. The view switches between solo interviews and the interviewees going about their daily routines. They are all in their 20s to 40s and have slim to average builds. In order of appearance, Norman is a black man, Ali is a white woman, Brendan and Kevin are white men, and Leah is a white deaf woman who signs. The voice for Leah is a narrator.
My name is Norman Singimana.
I'm Ali O'Hearn.
I'm Brendan. My name is Kevin Coffey.
Hi, I'm Leah Riddell.
Kevin.
I was tested with ADD when I was 10 years of age.
Ali.
I'm an educational assistant. I help support students with very diverse needs.
Brendan.
I kind of first discovered I had an issue with my vision in early high school when I couldn't read the chalkboard.
Norman.
Communication for me is the backbone of life. English as a language is also as diverse as we are as a people.
Leah.
I rely on services like closed captioning, ASL, and interpreters to be able to connect and participate in my community. When those are not present or are offered only as an afterthought, it can be a very isolating feeling.
Brendan.
I can't really figure out why my vision is deteriorating. It makes it hard to plan your life.
Kevin.
I learned at a young age that I didn't really retain reading very well. I could read a book 14 times. I'd be like, who was the main character? Bill?
Ali.
Communication skills is one of the most important things of my job.
Brendan.
If accessibility was built into apps and digital devices as a starting point rather than an afterthought, I guess it would make my life a lot easier.
Norman.
If you can be able to communicate with everyone, then closed captioning is going to be part and parcel of probably how we live our lives in the future.
Leah.
It's not simply about making deaf and hard of hearing people's lives better, though it definitely would. It's for everyone. When there's access for all, everyone wins.
Black screen, white writing. The world is a better place when media is accessible. Black and white logo. The letters CCS are surrounded by a speech bubble. Below reads, making media accessible.
Okay. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I think I'm not in present mode anymore, am I?
No, not quite.
This is the last slide. It just has the contact us information, which I know you'll be putting the website in there. And of course, we invite anybody to contact us after. If you want to take a screenshot, there it is. And that's the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's another wow moment, because first of all, let me just acknowledge the incredible job women are doing in our local region for really powering some of these incredible initiatives. And so I did put into the Zoom chat the link to Brooke's website as well, so that you can check that out. You can find that video there. Is that correct, Brooke? If anyone wanted to share your video with their community, for instance, on Facebook, would it be accessible through your website or through your Facebook page?
Through the Facebook page, through the LinkedIn, and I will share the channel right now so that you can see all of the videos.
Awesome. Because I think today is a start. I mean, many of you and many of us are already believers in this or learning as we go. But I think it's really important that we share what we learned here with the rest of the community. And I know some of you will be sharing today's link from this event, I'm sure, as well. And that's highly valuable. But as well, let's just continue to get the word out about this overall theme of accessibility. Brooke, I have one quick question for you. And then if anyone else does in the chat, please feel free. We have about 10 minutes for Q&A now. Time and cost tend to be the big objections, right? When people think, they look at that beautiful video and think, oh my goodness, it must have cost so much to develop, or it must have taken, it would take me so much more time to describe everything that I'm doing, which of course we know that amounts to accessibility. What's your counter to that, or what is your response? Because I think time and money, other than that, I don't know what objections anyone would have to leveling the playing field for humanity. So what would your response be to that?
Well, as far as costs and production and creating content, there's so many different levels of content. I mean, we can jump on our phones and jump onto Instagram and record a video right there. And by the way, Instagram now has a caption tool, live caption tool, which this is the most important part, because we know there's lots of automatic out there. The most important part is this allows you to correct it. So name spellings, terminology, land acknowledgement, things like that, whatever you're saying can show up correct. So that's an example of a no cost content creation. And, you know, so for our videos, for example, we, from being part of the We Can program and having mentorship, have been connected with different funding opportunities, and we were lucky enough to receive a grant that allowed us to create those videos. So the quality of the videos are fantastic. Also, for those in the area who knew Claire Bouvier, she was the project manager and helped us with these videos. Another powerful woman from our area, to give her a little shout out. But yeah, there's different levels of cost. The content that you're putting out there, most businesses are spending a lot of time on getting the wording right, the messaging, and they're putting that out there. And what we need to let people know is if you increase the access, you are going to increase the engagement, and you're going to open up your content to more people out there who aren't getting your message. So how much is that worth to you? You're already spending so much. You know, so you can either, you know, learn internally how to do some of these things, or, there's all kinds of tools out there that people can go in and caption themselves. They can, it's different in a live, event kind of thing, that's a little bit different. But yeah, so I think that's my answer to that, is that it should be worth it to you to spend the time to make it more accessible.
And I know Leah is on the call, and Leah, I don't know if you want to type a response in the Zoom. I don't want to speak for you, but what she has taught me in the past is that we are missing markets. When we say, or when we do not open ourselves to becoming accessible, we are missing entire markets of potentially thousands, if not millions of people. When we think of just the Kingston and the Quinte region alone, it's absolutely incredible. And I know that part of Leah's business, in fact, I hope, Leah, you could put your Zoom, I'll put it in there. I'll do that as well. I'll put a link to her website, because as well, that's what she's working on, is increasing accessibility. So absolutely amazing. Does anyone have another question for Brooke before we just sort of open it up to general questions? This video that you showed us, was that in a series? Oh, that was the highlight one, wasn't it?
That was the highlight version.
Yes.
So there's 5 videos, and that was a little snippet of each one, all compacted just to try and draw you in and watch. So there's one video dedicated to Leah's story alone. So, and again, the described video and the ASL versions, which I'm really excited about coming out soon.
Yeah, and I appreciated that you said sometimes it doesn't cost anything. I mean, in this Zoom call, we have the luxury of having a live captioner, but also in a regular Zoom call, don't forget to enable the live transcript. I mean, something as simple as that, which honestly I learned. I learned through this whole Zoom experience, and Zoom has changed. But then also, describing things like that are on the screen. And I've seen that happen before, and it stops me up because I realize what's happening. And that makes me realize that there are so many more people that just aren't sitting down and enjoying a Zoom call because there's all these different barriers. Yes.
Yeah, I think it would be, I find it very helpful to, for those who don't have hearing loss, for example, to turn off, if you're putting your content out there, or you're doing a webinar or something, and you've pre-recorded maybe, or you're testing in a Zoom scenario, and you turn on the live automatic transcription, turn off the volume and just follow the content by reading the transcript, and you decide if the message from your business is coming across correctly. I can tell you the land acknowledgements go out the window. So that's further marginalizing. That's just one small example. So watch it, go to a YouTube video and look at usually you can tell if it's automatic. If there's mistakes, it's automatic, right? The worst thing, and I did this recently for a video was shared, a TED Talk, and it didn't have captions. And I know that Leah and Holly Marie were in the audience and they weren't able to access it. So I thought, I'm going to test this out. I put my Zoom, I shared the screen, I recorded the Zoom event, and I put on the auto transcription and played the video. And then I went, corrected the transcription. And while it didn't look like there was errors, because the regular English words and speakers are paced slowly. So it was doing an okay job. It looked like it was doing a good job, but then the figures, the percentages, the numbers were out the window. And you can't tell by looking at that. So if you're looking at that video and you're thinking, wow, amazing, the numbers are completely wrong, so I found that to be a really neat example just to compare. Another thing is, for example, today I did some visual description. There are people with vision loss who come in and they don't speak up. They're not asking for it, but if you were to try, whether you have your eyes closed, listen to one of, content and see, would someone be able to access all of the information?
Yeah, excellent points. Penny had a question in the Zoom chat. How can we convince people to correct their auto captions on their YouTube videos?
Well, this is trouble because unfortunately YouTube took away the community caption feature, which allows you. So there is a way to correct captions in YouTube, but I would have to get more information on how to do that exactly, because we put our own professional versions up. So how to convince them to correct their auto captions on their YouTube videos? That's tough. You talk to them about, ask them to watch their content with the captions. You know, give them some of the facts that are out there. I presented some statistics today to say, do you know how many people are not getting your message, you know, because of that? So compel them to care. Yeah, that's all I can do. My way is by doing events like this and trying to showcase, you know, an extra step in the accessibility, keep talking about it, and creating the videos as well. I'm sure you noticed that in the videos, embedded into the content was some visual description. We had the subjects describe themselves knowing that there's not a lot of time between dialogue. So we had them embedded into themselves, you know, into their introduction at the very beginning, just bringing up that level a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. And so these types of events, I hope, will be a catalyst for many of us to go out and become champions for this. And I don't think it needs to always rest on the shoulders of those women or men who are living with a disability. It must be exhausting. Erin mentioned that earlier. Like the stress compounds it, the coping mechanisms sometimes falter. There's no excuse for those of us who perhaps aren't struggling in some of these areas to pick it up and to carry it for them for a while until the next milestone. So they could say, you know, I'm not alone on this journey. This is something collectively that we can do to just make our communities better. And I think someone else had said that, Holly Marie, maybe you had said that as well. So
and
I want to thank.
Sorry, Carrie, if I could say one thing really
Yes.
quickly, I know we want to wrap up, is I don't want entrepreneurs or business owners to be overwhelmed or feel like they have to get it perfect. You could put out content there. If you're taking steps just to make it slightly more accessible, that's an improvement. That's awesome. It can be a working process.
Yeah, small steps matter. And together we're going to get there as technology improves over time as well. I hope that 10 years from now, gosh, I hope 1 year from now, that we can look back and say, look at this tool that a woman developed, even perhaps, that has made it so much easier. And, you know, together, those are the types of solutions we need to come together to find. So I would personally love to thank Holly Marie, Erin, and Brooke for this very inspiring hour that I think will definitely have ripple effects as we go throughout our day. And yes, we've come so far, but there's still so far that we need to go. So thank you to everyone. It has been a pleasure. And you can watch for this video to be posted later today. However, we are going to be using the auto caption until such a time that we do get the professional closed caption within 5 to 7 days from CCS. And I am proud to say that all 70 of our We Can workshops and events are closed captioned professionally by CCS. So that does allow them to be more accessible to folks in the future as they tune into them. So thank you, everyone. It has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on the call today. Enjoy your day.